now coming to the next one. Here, I would like to introduce two industry leaders, one who represents India's leading telecom and the other India's leading tech company. I call upon Akhil Gupta, Vice Chairman, Bharti Enterprises, in conversation with Manoranjan Mohapatra, Chief Executive Officer, Comviva. Akhil is the Vice Chairman of Bharti Enterprises and has played a pivotal role in Bharti's phenomenal growth right since inception and has been closely involved from the very beginning in the growth of Bharti in the telecom services sector, both organically and by way of various acquisitions. He has led the formation of various partnerships for Bharti with leading international operators like British Telecom, Telecom Italia, Singapore Telecom, and Vodafone, in addition to induction of leading financial investors like Qatar Foundation Endowment, AIF, and Sikua, among many other private equity funds. He has also been instrumental in raising several $billion by way of project finance for the group over the years from global banks and bond markets. On the other hand, Manoranjan Mohapatra, popularly known as Mao, his career has been dedicated to the development and deployment of innovative software communication solutions in rapidly growing markets, transforming high potential businesses into true world-beating organizations. His track record for enabling innovation, his deep knowledge of telecom-related technology, and his wealth of experience in a range of operational and marketing roles provide a strong leadership base from which to enhance Comviva's position as the leading provider of integrated VAS solutions in emerging markets globally. Over to you, Mao.
Very good morning. Happy to have you, Akhilji, in this call, and look forward to learning from you and your vast experience on the 5G challenges that the operators are likely to face and how do they leverage the opportunity that is on their way.
Thank you, Mao. Lovely to be on this fireside chat. I think a very relevant topic. You are, of course, the master in dealing with 5G, so I do not know who learns from whom, but it will be interesting to talk about some of the very important issues around 5G development today.
So for the benefit of the audience, I have learned pretty much everything about telecom from Akhilji in my life. And few things that I'm still learning or experimenting on a daily basis is ability to, as we say, pardon my language, cut the crap and get to the grassroots of the issue. His amazing problem-solving ability and really reach to the root cause of the challenges. And that's why I said it'll be a great opportunity for the next 30 minutes for me.
Thank you.
The first question I have for you is, these are definitely very exciting times, particularly for the telecom industry and the new technologies that are emerging, be it on the digital experience, be it on metaverse, be it on 5G and plus. Clearly, there is both opportunity and challenges galore going forward. How do you see from a prioritization and opportunity monetization point of view, the operators are viewing these opportunities?
So I think if we look at all the technological development of which perhaps metaverse comes right on top, and perhaps the biggest development which will happen in the coming few years, there is one common thread amongst all technological developments, and that is bandwidth. All of them need bandwidth, which a telecom operator provides. Now, if it's something like metaverse, it will need large dollops of bandwidth. There could be other smaller technologies which could be very relevant, but need just a small bandwidth. Perhaps 4G has been meeting a whole lot of that, and that is why the big technological revolutions in the world have been seen in the 4G era. With 5G, there will be technological development which would not work without that kind of bandwidth, and that's where I think telecom operators play the major role. There has been a big debate whether telecom operators should also venture into the field of application and content and so on. And so I guess the battle which telecom companies are facing is that in the name of digital, should they be looking and focusing on networks, or they should also become digital content providers in whatever shape and whatever name you call it. I think those are the two big opportunities, but of course, there's nothing to beat the opportunity on the network side.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Airtel has been in the forefront of customer centricity pretty much from the very beginning. And in these times, customer experience is becoming even more important. How do you see monetizing customer experience, be it leveraging the high bandwidth and low latency of 5G or the metaverse or any other technology that's coming in addition to allowing the operators to pump in more bandwidth to sell more data, but particularly how do they monetize the experience part from a consumer perspective?
So if we look at it from a customer point of view, which is the only way one should always look at it, what does the customer need? Customer is needing more and more content, more fine applications and content and so on, and they want to see it in the best possible manner, right? Mostly video is what is developing. Now, from a operator point of view, the first part I can do to keep the customer very happy is provide him a great network. I think 90% of customer satisfaction is a matter of simply whatever else we may call, 90% is network, network, and network. If your network is good, your customer is happy. And the second piece is some of the complex applications and contents which will come in. There again, an operator can decide whether they want to be part of that big ecosystem in terms of owning some of them. But the best thing they can do, and this is what we plan to do, is partner with the best in class and provide a platform where all the applications, all the content providers, all the developers can come and plug in, and then we seamlessly can distribute that application or content to our customers, whether it is in terms of customer access center, whether it's in terms of billing, etc., etc. I think if as a telecom operator, I can provide a great network and a great platform where all the developers and content providers can come in and plug in and be made available to my customers seamlessly, I think that will really enhance the customer experience.
Thank you. Absolutely, sir. Network is the core, and I think everything else can revolve around it. Sir, what are some of the early use cases that you are envisaging, particularly for Airtel, to go to the market with? And secondly, when do you think the real benefit of 5G will reach the poor farmers and the health workers in the villages and the teachers in remote schools? What we say is our dream in terms of healthcare or agri-tech or other areas. Is that really going to happen or not?
Oh, absolutely, it's going to happen. But a few things will determine. Let me deal with your question about what could be the use cases. Now, very clearly, I think whether it's driverless car or robotic surgeries may not be the right use cases for India immediately. One day, I hope, yes, absolutely, why not? But the immediate big use case which I can clearly see are two or maybe three. The first is the mobile communication itself. I mean, we all come from the era where we had 2G, then we had 3G, then 3.5G, then GPRS at 3.75G and 4G. Now we will have 5G. Therefore, that speed of communication of data is the first one. And I do hope that this time the operators are actually able to monetize that. It costs a lot. Therefore, on top of whatever is the package for 4G, I really wish that they do actually charge something extra so that the customer can actually get that experience. The second big use case in my mind is again stemming out of the need of this country. And if you see in NDCP, the digital communication policy, the main aim is to bring a broadband internet to everybody in the country. Now that, as you all know, is impossible on wireline, just not possible. Therefore, 5G can fill in that gap. I think wireless broadband can really be a killer app, to my mind, of 5G. And that's what one can work at. Wi-Fi inside the premises, 5G for backhaul. That can be a very good use case.
Thank you, sir. I agree with you that it has a potential, but sir, I have a fear of unknown in my mind. If you look at the G technologies, 2G was, of course, a hit because it gave mobility to people. 2.5G was partial. I would personally think 3G was not that great a success. 4G again has done well from a market point of view. The other phenomenon that I have observed is every incremental G, the time to recover your investments is short because the next G comes quicker. So is that, and clearly 5G has a lot of investment requirements. So is 5G going to be elusive to benefit the society? Would 6G deliver that, or would 5G be there? Like 3G was a bad example. Not many people recovered their investment.
Well, I'm sure 5G would have a lot of potential in this technology. And there was another part of the question which you posed. Can the benefit reach the hinterland? Yes. And I think that is the key question before the operators, before the government. And that is why I have been advocating that this time around, let us walk the talk. The communication policy says that maximizing revenue is not the aim of the government, providing internet is. If that is the case, the 5G pricing should be such that, one, you can mandate that the rollout has to be very stringent so that it goes to the rural areas and not confined to Delhi's and Bombay's and Kolkata's of the country. And it will also release capital from the operators to actually put into those networks. So it will really depend on the policy as to how 5G benefit can go to the hinterland. And yes, over a period of time, there will be a lot more applications, particularly suited for far-flung areas like health services. Now, if a doctor has to examine virtually, prescribing something is different, but he has to examine virtually, you'll need 5G.
Yes.
So there will be many cases which can benefit the society, provided 5G is taken deep into the country.
Thank you, sir. Changing direction a little bit, there is a trend that is emerging that the communication service providers are aspiring to be platform providers. Rakuten is openly gone to the market talking about it. Jio has, I only can tell you what I've read in the media, that they have said that they have a fully developed 5G stack, and they would be offering it to the others in the marketplace too. I also saw or read about some joint venture, not joint venture, a kind of a joint initiative with Tata's where Airtel is doing something in 5G development too. What is the long-term thought process in being a platform provider? Is that just enriching your network, or do you see a separate line of business altogether?
Well, first of all, let me distinguish from a platform provider versus an equipment provider.
Yes, sir.
I think what many telcos are trying to do is say, we will also be in equipment. Now, I think every company will have its own philosophy. We believe we can partner with the best like we have done all throughout. But whether we want to get into production ourselves, maybe not. Maybe we are better off confining ourselves to services. So it will be an individual choice. But the key is, even if you make it yourself, as an operator, you must put a separate hat and buy the best at the most efficient pricing and the most efficient working. Whoever can provide you that, I think it's good. It's good that we are getting into the era of Open RAN, which means the dependence on proprietary technologies is going away. And then it doesn't really matter who is providing the equipment.
Thank you, sir. Actually, my question was leading to pretty much what you just answered, but I'll still go ahead and ask. While the Open RAN technologies and the standardization the idea is to stay away from proprietary technologies, but we are also in a way gradually moving towards another, hopefully not play hostage too, the large superscalers like the Microsoft Azure or AWS, or that, end of the day, there'll be only 3 or 4 large superscalers from cloud computing point of view, and they are not as interoperable like an open system as one thinks them to be. And I know Airtel is already, I'm not sure Airtel has not openly said, but with $1 billion investment from Microsoft, there may be alignment either already there or could happen in future. But would you be shifting from one set of critical dependence to another set of critical dependence?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, even in the traditional world, we had always Ericsson, Nokia, Huawei. There were never dependence on only one equipment supplier. Similarly, on the cloud side, we will have Amazon, we'll have Microsoft, we'll have Google. The investment by Google does not provide any kind of exclusivity.
True.
So there will be enough competition to be really worrying about getting trapped by anybody.
Right, sir. That is a thought process of investing into emerging technologies, be it an AI, own kind of technology development arm within the Airtel, a lot of incubation that's happening as we speak. Is it because you don't find competent partners to lean on in the marketplace, or you want to create your differentiation vis-a-vis competition?
Well, definitely there's no dearth of competent partners. I think in every field we see more and more talent and more specialization. Why we have been doing some incubation? Like I said, we want to have a platform which is a middleware where people can just come and plug in without worrying about the APIs being different. And then we can seamlessly give it to our customers. In order to do that, the best is to incubate some, get the real experience of how it is done. What can we do to make it a kind of an open platform? So it's more with that. We have no illusion that we'll be best in AI or any other technology. I think we will definitely partner with the best in class.
My last question is your completely new initiative on OneWeb, the low Earth orbit satellite broadband system. Is that in some way, of course, it is totally complementary and that's what has been said, but if you look at its possible, side effect or impact, other than the metro areas, OneWeb would have a role to play even tier 2 or tier 3 cities, as opposed to just the far-flung areas. In some way, would that be a competition to some of the businesses you are in already?
No. I think no satellite communication, at least in the current form, can be a threat to the terrestrial networks, no question. It is purely complementary. The use cases of LEO satellite services will be to provide the telecom operators with backhaul in places where they don't find it feasible to either get the backhaul or in some cases, very remote places, even the normal service where the density could be so low that it's not feasible. But that's far and few. The other use cases are enterprise services, government, defense, aviation, marine. Those are the big cases for usage for that. Right. So there's no question of threatening that. Yes, I do envisage and I do wish that one day the devices become common between terrestrial networks and having satellite connectivity, so that the operators can actually bring these satellite services behind them and make sure that their customers will always get a signal, come what may. But it is never going to replace terrestrial. It could come behind an operator and give the customer a much better experience.
I'm sure it will happen, sir. I know Thuraya in Middle East has a service where they have a roaming between the GSM network and the satellite networks. And I know a lot of startups are working in that arena, particularly for IoT and data devices, for roaming between GSM and...
But now that won't help, because unless the device becomes common,
correct,
there will be very limited applications. So the key would be, if possible, if the device, which is a normal mobile phone, can also connect to satellite, I think that is when the benefit of these services can be visible to the telecom operators in a very big way.
Right, sir. My last question, sir, which is very close to your heart. Airtel always has innovated and disrupted the market, and be it completely outsourcing the network operations, saying we are managing customers and brand, and that's what we are good at, to creating a minute factory or a second factory, bringing down the price point of voice and data to far more affordable to the common man on the street. We have seen a lot of such initiatives coming out from the Airtel headquarters. And I know you've been behind most of them yourself personally. What is it that we can expect to see next?
Well, first of all, let me dispel the doubt. Airtel has never been a disruptor. I think everything which we did in terms of innovation has arisen out of two things. Either there is a lot of inefficiency, therefore we tried to correct it, or there were areas where we did not have enough resources or capabilities. And it virtually always stemmed out of our belief that in this world, you must partner and let the specialist in any particular area provide you the services. But this vendor relationship, we tried to always overcome and say, let's be partners with them. And we also extended that to our competitors, that we can compete on the front end, but there is no need to uselessly competing at the back end. We can collaborate on the back end. So I think all that we have tried to do is to try and see how all of us can get benefited by sharing the infrastructure, doing things in a manner that where I lack, and Comviva, for instance, is very good at, I'd partner with you. Why would I want another Comviva within my system? So that, I think, has been a philosophy which has been able to guide us. And with that philosophy, as you can imagine, possibilities are always endless. So hopefully, we'll continue to do some more efficient things like that.
Thank you, sir. Though I said that was the last question, I completely forgot one thing. You have personally done a lot of pioneering work on passive network sharing across operators, both on the commercial and political side as well as on the technical side. 5G claims that active network sharing is a possibility. But do you really see that happening?
Yeah, I think, again, it is very much in the digital communication policy, wherein IP1s have been mandated to go into some parts of active network also. For instance, the antennas. They can definitely have common antennas, common radios. It will happen. I think some regulatory work is going on. But again, I always believe the infrastructure provider must never compete with the customer. Therefore, in fact, we have been suggesting to TRAI and to DOT, enhance the scope, put a condition that they will not be in a position to offer service to the end customer. They must offer services to licensed operators. And I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely, sir. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. Huge amount of learning, and I look forward to getting more and more opportunity to learn from you, sir.
My pleasure, Mao. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, for such wonderful conversations highlighting various aspects of the industry.